Hi, Bob Thompson from Smartphone Matters. Today we're going to talk about cutting SIMs. If the SIM you have is too big to fit in the smartphone you want to use it in, you can cut the SIM to make it fit. Let me give you a couple of examples. Suppose you're using an iPhone 3G. It uses a standard SIM. If you wanted to switch to another phone, like the Google Nexus 5 or the iPhone 4S, you need a micro SIM. Similarly, if you wanted to switch to an iPhone 5, 5C, or 5S, you would need a nano SIM. Another reason why you might want to cut a SIM, suppose you were signing up for a new wireless service like Straight Talk or Net10 or one of the other prepaid wireless carriers. You might notice that when you buy your package of SIMs that you didn't get the right size. Maybe you got the standard SIM, but you need a micro SIM. Or maybe you got a standard and a micro SIM, but you need a nano SIM. You can cut the SIM to make it fit the phone you want. Let me show you how. All right, first, let's start by taking a look at the Nexus 5. Let's remove the SIM tray. So, we had the standard SIM, which was the size that's in the iPhone 3G. Notice that the standard SIM is way too big to fit in the micro SIM tray. In fact, the standard SIM is actually bigger than the micro SIM tray itself. So let's take a SIM card here. For example, this Straight Talk standard size SIM. You can cut the SIM using a tool called a SIM cutter. I have a couple examples of them here. I bought this one on Amazon. And it's branded a Newsy. And this SIM cutter was maybe about $20, which I think is maybe a little bit expensive. But what I liked about it was that it's relatively sturdy, and it can do two types of cuts. It can cut a standard SIM to a micro SIM and a micro SIM to a nano SIM. All right, so let me show you how to cut the SIM. Here's our standard SIM. You locate the cut corner on the standard SIM, and then you orient that so that the cut corner on the standard SIM aligns with the cut corner on the SIM cutter. You make sure that the SIM is properly positioned in the SIM cutter. And then you turn it over and just give it a healthy squeeze. And you've cut your SIM. I now have a micro SIM. You can take the micro SIM, locate the cut corner on the SIM, line it with the cut corner on the tray. And I can insert it into my Nexus 5. Right, you can see that the phone has recognized the SIM. It's telling me I should restart the phone, but since that SIM is not active, it's not actually going to work, but that's okay. So let's get the SIM back out of the phone. All right, so now we have our micro SIM. Suppose we needed a nano SIM to use in a phone like the iPhone 5S. We could cut the SIM again to get a nano SIM. Here you'll see, here's the SIM tray for the iPhone 5S. And we'll see that the micro SIM is essentially as wide, or maybe even a little bit wider than the iPhone 5S's tray. Not quite as long, but the point is it's not going to fit. So we take our SIM tool and we're going to cut from the standard SIM to the nano SIM. But before you do that, you need to make sure you remove the cut piece of plastic from the SIM card that you previously cut. And you should always check any slots on the SIM cutter to see if there's any old plastic in the cutter. All right, so you can see there was. So here's the micro SIM that we just cut. Again, orient the cut corner of the SIM with the cut corner on the SIM cutting tool, and then slide the SIM into the cutter. In this case, it was a pretty snug fit. So I'm just going to use this tweezer here to squeeze that in there and line that up. And do another cut. So now we have a nano SIM. Get our iPhone 5S back in the picture here. Again, you line the cut corner on the SIM tray, on the SIM with the cut corner on the SIM tray. Whoops. Okay, so sometimes when you cut the nano SIM, it's you cut a nano SIM from a micro SIM or a standard SIM, it's going to be a little too thick to fit in the phone. We'll see how this one lines up. The nano SIM is actually a little bit thinner, but we'll see. So that one fit. And we can see the phone says no SIM, and then it's gone to searching. So it actually did recognize the SIM. We were able to cut that SIM successfully. All right, let me go ahead and take that back out of the phone. So this SIM cutter was, I think, about $20 on Amazon, which I think is a little bit too much to spend. I wanted one that I could reuse a number of times and was able to cut both sides of sizes of the SIM. It also came in the box with a piece of sandpaper and a pair of tweezers. You saw me use the tweezer to remove the excess piece of the SIM that we cut away. Okay, I got that back in frame there. So that's kind of useful. And then this sandpaper, like I said, sometimes when you cut these SIMs, they're too thick. If you're cutting from a standard or a micro SIM down to a nano SIM, so you can use the sandpaper to sand down the top, and you can also use it to straighten out the edges if you don't get a really clean cut. Let me show you a few more things about cutting SIMs. All right, so here's a standard size SIM. Most of what you're cutting away on the SIM when you cut from a standard to a micro SIM is you're just cutting away this extra plastic. There's some metal contacts here that line up in the phone, and there's some electronic circuit behind here. But you can cut away that plastic and it's not going to damage the SIM. In fact, when you cut from the micro SIM to the nano SIM size, you might actually cut away some of the metal. Even that is okay. This is just a lot of contacts for the electronics in here to line up. So I bought this other SIM cutter on eBay. This was $4.99 shipped, which I think is a much more affordable than the larger Newsy I bought. This one isn't as versatile, but it'll get the job done. it came with a SIM cutter and some SIM adapters. So you use a SIM adapter to turn a smaller SIM into a larger SIM. You can see I have a video about that. And it also said that it included a SIM ejection tool like this, but I didn't find one in the box. A lot of these products are made in Asia. Like you can see, this was made in China. And depending on the product, you can see things like there's English misspellings on the box. So, but again, they get the job done. So this is a much smaller cutter, and this one will only cut to the nano SIM size. So it will cut a standard SIM to a nano SIM, and it'll cut a micro SIM to a nano SIM. And it basically has some directions on the box if you're not sure how to do it. But let's take a quick look at using this one. So I guess if you were using this one and you needed a micro SIM, the idea would be that you would cut your SIM to a nano SIM and then use one of these SIM adapters to make it a micro SIM. All right, so here's another Straight Talk SIM card. Let's remove that. Again, find the cut corner on the SIM, align it with the cut corner and that's in there pretty tight. And then again, it's kind of like a stapler or a hole puncher, and you just give it a good squeeze. Out pops the SIM. And you could see the edge on this one is a little rough, so you might want to take the sandpaper and clean it up. I also like to use one of these nail files. I think this works really well. You just go around each of the edge, and it'll just clean up the edge of the SIM for you. So now let's see. So one of the things I can feel on this one is like it has a little bit more of a ridge where this was cut. So I'm just gonna yeah, that's much better. All right, so I don't know if you can see this in the video, but this cutter left a bit of an edge on the top of this SIM. So I just wanted to smooth that out so that it will slide into the iPhone easier. All right, let's give it a try. Here's the SIM tray. Again, align the cut corner on the SIM with the cut corner on the tray. Press the SIM into the tray. That looks like a pretty good fit. Let's get our iPhone back in the picture here, and then align the SIM tray and insert it into the phone. And we went from no SIM to searching, which means that the phone has actually recognized the SIM. So, well, that's our video on cutting SIMs with the SIM cutter. I will put some links in the video transcript to some SIM cutters on Amazon if you're interested in buying one. Thanks for watching.